Hello again. Welcome back to Lost in Translation. My name is Nico, and here we're going to take a closer look at the Torah portion Vayetze and the 10 things you will miss if you are only reading the portion in English. All right, we're going to start off with number 1, the place. Okay, so it starts off, remember in the end of the last portion, Yaakov Avinu, he's been sent away for his own safety and to also find a wife in the land of his mother's origin and Abraham's origin of Haran, right? Haran. And okay, so he arrived at the place, and lodge. Well, what place is that? Well, if we see here, ba makom, right? And ba makom, the place, in the place. You know, there is this connection to the idea of this being the place where we find Hashem. And in fact, we see all sorts of little hints at the word Shem, name, right? The name Hashem, right there, right here at the very beginning. He's the sun had set, and he ki ba Hashemesh, right? Okay, because the sun had set, but we have this little hint within the word Shemesh, Hashemesh, the sunset, the sun, right? Right here we have a hint that he's encountering the place of Hashem, right? And right, that he camped there. What does it say here? Okay, yeah, and he took some the stones of the place. Again, Yashem. This Shem is maybe another little hint about this being the place where he's going to meet Hashem. Okay, number 2. Stones and stone. Okay? So he's in this place, he's stopping for the night, and there seems to be a little bit of a plural disagreement going on here, because here we have that he took some stones, and that's exactly what it says, right? Me evnei, right? This is plural. This is the Evan is a stone. Evnei hamakom, the stones of the place, right? And he put them around his head, right? Okay. He has this dream. It's this amazing dream. There's a ladder. There's angels coming up and down the ladder from heaven down towards the earth. And you know, he wakes up and he has this revelation, this encounter, and this promise from Hashem. And you know, he took the stone. Vayishkem Yaakov beboker veyakach et ha'even. Wait, they were stones before. Well, now it's singular, the stone, and he had placed at his head. So there's no confusion here. There's not a second big stone, and there were many stones that he put around his head. No, these stones that were around his head became a singular stone. Well, what's going on in here, right? And so basically what we see, or what's being hinted at here with this unification of these stones, is that we have the unifications of the names of Hashem, right? Because he's you know, having this encounter with the Lord in English, the Hine Hashem, right? And he was standing over him. And he says that, and Ani Hashem Elohei Abraham, right? So right here he's saying that, in the vision, we're having the combination of these two concepts in the vision. And at the end, the one who's making promises, or he was frightened, and he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, right? This is Hamakum hazeh en ze ki im bet Elohim, right? Okay, so he's got these two concepts, these two things that are, he's got Hashem and Elohim coming together in this single encounter, and through this, the plurality of stones that were around his head have now become a singular stone, and it's now been placed up as a monument where he will build the house of the Lord, right? Okay, number 3. More funny translations with earth and soil, Eretz Adama. So during the vision, Hashem is telling you, your seed shall be as the dust of the earth. Remember, we have this problem with Eretz being earth, or, because really it's land. It's connected to Ratzon. We have to remember that there's two different things going on when we're using Haaretz and when we're using later on Adama, right? So right down here, Adama, that the families, and through you shall be blessed all the families of the earth, and through your seed. Well, okay, this is a big deal that it's different, right? That they're going to be the dust of Haaretz, that they're going to be the, connected to the desire for connection to Hashem, and that through that, the families, Ha'adama, right, connecting back to Adam, right, the curse that's there, that they're going to be blessed through his seed. Okay, so we have this redemption that's being promised, not just for Israel, but that Israel is supposed to be redemptive for all of Bnei Adam, all of Adamah. Okay, next. We see the continuation of this process whereby the patriarchs and heroes in Torah are meeting their wives at the well. Okay, Yaakov Avinu arrives in Haran, or near Haran, and there's a big well, and this is where he meets Rachel, who is a shepherdess, and she's driving her father's flock. But there's something interesting about what's going on here. So let's take a quick look at the stone. Okay, it's a big well. There's a well. There's many flocks that are gathering there, and we know that 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it, because from the well they would water the flocks, and the huge rock was upon the mouth of the stone, the well. Excuse me. Ha'even Gedolah al pi habeir. Now, we've been dancing around this issue of water in Torah. We've been dancing around this issue of wells, right? And dwelling near a well and moving from a well and redigging wells, right? That this concept of water is symbolically linked to prayer, right? And there is this giant rock that is on the top of this well, and they can't water the flocks because they need everyone to gather together to do it. Well, this Evan, this Evan Gadolah, okay, you could just think it's just some other big rock, but if it's connected to in the sequence of the events here, we know that Yaakov Avinu, he's just had this experience with stones that were plural and now singular, and he had the capacity to move this stone and set it up as a pillar. And now, unlike everyone else who has to wait for the gathering of all the flocks together before there's enough force to move this stone, he alone, Yaakov Avinu by himself, has the strength to move this singular stone by himself. And this is a testament to his newfound strength, because he was a guy who stayed in the tents. Now he's a guy who's out in the fields. He's out of his element. But now he has the strength to move giant stones because of his revelation. Okay? And I'm certain that that's what this giant stone on top of the well is coming to teach us. Okay, so let's move on to so Jacob completed the week for her. Okay, so we kind of glossed over the fact that Jacob is Yaakov Avinu. He's met Rachel and he's fallen in love with her, and he wants to take her as a wife from Laban, and he agrees to work for 7 years to receive Rachel as his wife. And Laban does a switcheroo and gives him the older sister Leah instead. He says, in this place, in our place, we don't do this thing where we give the younger one first. We have to give the older one first. So he agrees to work another 7 years for Leah, right? For Rachel. I will work and Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, I will work for you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. Okay, stay with me. Great. And then he gets Leah instead. Laban took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and he came to her. Okay. And complete the wedding week of this one, okay? And we will give you this one too for the work that you will render me for another 7 years. This is a very liberal translation. It's trying to make this strange Hebrew work into the context of an English language narrative, and it really. For example, I look here in the art scroll. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other one too, for the work which you will perform for me yet another 7 years. Okay? And so down here it says that, and Jacob did so, and he completed the week of this one, and he gave his daughter Rachel to him as a wife. Well, Vayas Yaakov ken ve'imale shavua zot ve'iten lo et Rachel bito lo laisha. Okay? So thing is shavua is really the same word as sheva. It's the same spelling. Okay, so there is this connection between the number 7 and the number of years and the number of days in a week. Okay, so there's a connection between years and days here, and what we learn in spirituality or in the study of Kabbalah is that there's not really any time, right? The number 7 itself is important, and that's something we can learn a little bit later. But there is some very strange language here where at one point we've vowelized the very same word, Sheva, and the very next word now it's being pronounced Shavua, week, instead of 7, Sheva, 7, okay? And so it can be confusing as to, did he work 7 more years before he married Rachel, or did he marry her after a week and then work another 7 years for her? It's kind of a mystery for us to contemplate in the Hebrew, whereas in the English, it kind of made it simpler to digest as a story. Okay, so Hashem sees that Leah was unloved. Okay, here in the Chabad version, they have a much more accurate translation. In the Art Scroll here, it tells us that Hashem saw that Leah was unloved. Well, really, Hashem ki senua Leah. Senua really is hatred, right? That Leah was hated. That, you know, she probably was resented. He's not the wife that Yaakov wanted, right? Maybe she's the wife he needed. We'll see later. I mean, she's the mother of half of all the tribes of Israel, right? But she's not the one that he wanted, and the absence of his love really is amounts to hate towards her, right? And so between these two, between the Art Scroll, which kind of glosses over it, doesn't want to make things look too bad, she was unloved. Well, here we're being very blatant that no, Leah was hated. No, she had a hard time. It wasn't easy being the first unwanted wife. Okay, next, also very interesting. We've got this. We've got 2 different words for womb that are used in the text. So when Hashem sees that Leah was unloved, that she was hated, he opened her womb. He opened her womb. Vayiftach et rachama v'Rachel akara. Right? But Rachel was barren. Okay, what's very interesting in this word for womb in Hebrew is that it's very close to the word for mercy, rachem, okay, rachman. So we learned that giving birth, bringing life to somebody, that the mother's carrying and birthing a child is an act of mercy, and that's why this is coming from Hashem. Because we understand that Hashem is connected to the property of mercy, right? So later on, just a couple moments away, in the beginning of the very next chapter, right? Rachel, she sees that she's not born any children, and she envies her sister, and she says to Yaakov Avinu, "Give me children, if not, I am dead," right? And Yaakov Avinu became angry with Rachel and said, am I instead of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of your womb? Right? Well, here we go. Vayomer ha'tachat Elohim anoki, asher ma'at mimech pri vaten. Vaten. Well, this is another word for womb, right? But it's not the rachem that's connected to Hashem, because if we see here, he's saying that Elohim has, if Hashem opened the womb of Leah because she was hated, because she didn't have love, he did something, he brought mercy to her. Well, there's some sort of judgment happening here between Elohim and Rachel, and that's why her womb, which is being rendered vaten, hasn't been opened, right? She hasn't had the fruit of her womb. So as it turns out, that vaten can be translated her belly, her stomach, right? Whereas the rachem is much more specific, and again, we have these two things, these two different words being used to demonstrate the relationship between the different aspects of the Creator in this narrative. Okay, so now let's just take a quick review, just a quick view at the names of all of Yaakov's children. Now, we're not going to go through every single one, but this is a great place where we can see that proper names and place names have meanings, they're connected to concepts, right? So, for example, I mean, just the very first child that's born, Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben, for she said, because the Lord has seen my affliction, right? And for now my husband will love me, right? And Vayetahar Leah v'teled ben v'tikra shemo Reuben ki amara ki ra'a Hashem be'enei ki ata yehavani ish, my husband, ish, the man, right? But so this re ra'a be'eni ba'ani, that he saw the affliction, right? He's seen my affliction, and so the affliction seen becomes the name of the first son, Reuben. Wow, it's kind of a heavy name. I mean, if we take a look at the second one, the second son, yeah, pretty harsh. Here we see again the connection between the word hated, right, and Simon, right? V'tomer ki shma'a Hashem ki snu'a anoki ve'iten li gam et ze v'tikra shemo Shimon. Those are pretty heavy names, man. Seen observed affliction, hated, right? And this continues from Levi being connected to the idea of attached, right? Yetlave ishi, right? My husband will be attached to me. And here for Judah, Vetahar od ve'tled ben vatomer hapa'am odei et Hashem al ken kara shemo Yehuda, right? Well, this is that she's thankful to Hashem, right? And the first letter in the name of Hashem is Yud, right there. And it gets connected to the Odeh, the thankfulness. And that's what gets the name Yehudah. Okay, and it continues that all the names of the sons and even the daughter, Dinah, they're connected to deeper meanings. And the text lets us know exactly what that is if we're reading it in Hebrew. Okay, so there is this long story of payments and flocks and accumulation of wealth, and eventually what's happening is Hashem comes to Yaakov Avinu and tells him it's time for you to go home. So he runs off. He escapes with his family, with his flocks, with his wives, his children, with everything that he has. He's running away from Lavan and going back to his place. And Lavan chases him down, okay? And we see again, after all of this, we see a connection back to stones. Okay, Lavan catches up with Yaakov Avinu, and Hashem addresses Lavan and says, "Be careful! Don't say good or bad to him." He also speaks to Yaakov Avinu, and he's telling him to go back to his land. So when there's also this incident where it seems that Rachel has taken some sort of idols from these terapim. We're not really certain what the word means specifically. Some sort of idol that has been taken from Lavan's house, and so Lavan is searching everywhere, and they decide that in the end they can't find anything that belongs to Lavan, and they're going to make a covenant. And this covenant is also marked by stones, a mound of stones, right? So the name of the mountain Gilead is also connected back to this mound of stones, right? And after the arguments and everything is settled, they set up this mound. Jacob took a stone, Vayikach Yaakov Aven, again singular, Vayirmea Matzeva, right, as a monument. And he says to his kinsmen, gather stones. Vayomer Yaakov la'achav liktu avenim vayikchu avenim vayasu gal vayachlu sham al hagal. Right? So they made a pile there. Sham, but this Sham also maybe, that Yaakov's capacity for a singular stone, and his brethren, everyone else had to take multiple stones, and through these stones they make this monument, which maybe is connecting back to the name Shem, Hashem, and this is why the monument is a marker between the two territories, where Lavan will not cross to do harm to Yaakov Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu will not cross to do harm to Lavan. So that's it for this week's portion. Thank you again for watching. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. Take a look. Let me know if there's anything you see that I missed, anything interesting. Let's learn together. In the meantime, share those observations in the comments. like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week for the portion Vayishlach.